Hey, Justin, this is John. He's gonna be making your movie. And Justin turns to me and says, what movie? And I'm like, oh gosh. Hi, this is Jon M, and these are my film firsts with BAFTA. The first film that I remember seeing ever, at least in the theater, was E.T. And sitting there in the dark, and this creature shows up, and my heart was broken. My brain went to another place, and it was swept away by the John Williams score. And so for me, that will always remind me of what it felt like to go to the movies. The first movie or TV show that I was obsessed with, I mean, I would probably say it's either Singin' in the Rain, definitely obsessed with that, always playing, or a Disney animated musical at the time, whether it was Little Mermaid was one of those. But actually, I think it was like Michael Jackson videos. Those things, watching Thriller or Bad, made me love musicals even more than I thought. I was like, these are the modern musicals. This, and made me believe in magic and movement. So I think that was probably the #1 thing. I think the thing about musicals and music and movement that have always moved me is it was just another language. You know, I'm not the best at words, and I'm not the best drawer necessarily, but there is something about musicality, rhythm, that spoke to me, that I could connect with, and it made me closer to the characters. It wasn't just a performance. It was like, you know, when I watched Tap, it was like, oh my gosh, Gregory Hines is so cool, and it gave me an attitude about this character, and I understood them in ways and how they danced. Whether it was Honey Coles or Sandman Sims, like, the way they danced said so much about them. And so I always saw it as a great avenue to bring an audience closer to a character. There was many movies that I shouldn't have seen at a young age because I was the youngest of 5 kids. So Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, yeah, we watched that a lot. Child's Play, oh my gosh, all the time. Airplane, Naked Gun. I was very young watching these movies and my parents didn't care. I'm not sure they understood what was happening in it, but me and my siblings definitely did. It's complicated for me of the thing that I watched first that made me want to make movies because it was, of course I loved movies, but it was when I made my first little film of my family vacation and I showed my parents and I watched them watch this video on the couch after I'd stayed up all night. And they started to cry while watching it, seeing our family, our little Chinese families, dancing around to this like oldies song. It was their American dream. And I realized the power that I had by sharing them, the image of themselves in this way. I was hooked for the rest of my life. The first film that reduced me to tears, I want to say it's like Steel Magnolias or something like that, or Beaches, oh my gosh. I don't know how old I was, but I do remember not knowing what this feeling was that was overcoming within me. So yeah, I would have to say one of those. The first thing I ever directed, probably my brothers and sisters around on vacations, and I would just tell them to do silly things. But truly, we had a class video that I had to do with my class, and it was a musical number, so I have that where they're like dancing and singing for the first time, and it's a terrible musical number, but it's actually, looking back, I was kind of impressed by it. But so right from the beginning, for some reason, music and dance was in it. The first scene that we shot in Wicked for Good, if my memory is correct, so I believe it was the dorm room when Elphaba knocks on the door and Glinda opens it up and says, hello, welcome, come in. Or I think she says, come in. And it's the first time I see them playing Elphaba and Glinda in the movie. And it wasn't a scene that was from the show, so they got a little bit of room to like find their jokes and how they were gonna play. And I remember watching that scene knowing that this was gonna work.
What was your first day like on Crazy Rich Asians?
My first day, oh gosh, I don't remember my first day. I don't remember my first day on Crazy Rich Asians. I have to look that up. But I will remember when we were in a meeting for Crazy Rich Asians, I got a call from my wife and she says, yeah, you should take this outside. So I went outside and she said, I'm in line to vote and I just threw up. I need to take a test. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is election night, everyone's coming over. And that night we had this election party and she secretly bought these pregnancy tests and she was upstairs, she's like, get off the TV, let's do this test. So we go up there and we found out that we were having our first child. And I missed 4 months of that pregnancy because while we were shooting Crazy Rich Asians, she couldn't come over because of Zika. So that was my first run-in with real life.
That's a wild story.
It's a wild story. My first meeting with Justin Bieber for Never Seen Ever, which is one of my favorite films. I would put so much of myself in there and I got to be with him on the road. I never got to work with Michael Jackson, but I knew at this moment there was something very special happening with this boy. And he was also sort of like a bratty boy. He was great. I loved the kid, but I also loved the family around him. And so I walk in and Scooter introduces me, hey, Justin, this is Jon, he's gonna be making your movie. And Justin turns to me and says, what movie? And I'm like, oh gosh, okay, we're making this doc. Are you okay with this? He's like, oh yeah, that's right, it's fine. So it was a shocker, but then he brought me in and he was on his Twitter feed. So he immediately recorded a video, said, hey everybody, and you can look it up. He's like, oh, this is Justin, and this guy's been following me around for a long time, and he's making a movie about me. And so he introduced me to his audience, and they all started to follow me on Twitter. So it was my first introduction to real social media and the intensity of that. But then we were just sort of swept away on this story, and I loved every moment of it.
I was one of those people.
You were, yes. Did you go to a show? Where did you go to shows at for him?
Well, at the O2, but my dream in life.
Yeah. I was here for the O2.
If he tours next year, I'm going to Madison Square Gardens because you made it so.
It's pretty special.
On my bucket list.
It's pretty special there.